What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Bad Religion, and I wanted to give a big shout out to friend of the channel Ryan for two reasons. One, he wanted to request that we listen to the title track of Grey Race, 1997, and probably my favorite Atlantic album of theirs, which is funny because when I started doing Bad Religion reactions, I wasn't thinking of Stranger Than Fiction as an Atlantic album, so I was thinking there were fewer of them than there actually are. Regardless, my opinion in that regard has not changed. I do think of the four on Atlantic, it's probably my favorite. But I also wanted to give Ryan a big shout out because he sent me a mug. He's made the joke before that on punk rock reactions, especially maybe Bad Religion and Propaganda, I can be a bit verbose. You know, I talk a lot about the lyrics beforehand more than in any other type of reaction I do. And he coined the name Captain Elaborate. Well, look what he did. He sent me a coffee mug, or a tea mug in my case, called Captain Elaborate. And it actually says Shnootz on the back side. So bottom line, big shout out to Ryan. I really do appreciate it. But we're going to listen to Grey Race, as I said, which... You know, it's funny, I felt very validated. Bad Religion is one of the few bands that I've been such a big fan of, and I love their lyrics especially, but, you know, the aesthetic, the sort of, their approach to punk rock music as much as any other. And so they are one of the few bands that I've sort of, you know, sifted around online and read some interviews and so on. And when I eventually found online an interview in which this song was referenced, and I felt like vindicated because I had taken the song since I had heard it. You know, I got it when it came out because by then I was already following Bad Religion. And again, the Atlantic albums, you know, they took a little bit longer to sort of become as classic to me as they have become, at least, you know, compared to how quickly I dove headfirst into the early Epitaph stuff. But I remember when I first heard this song thinking that, okay, you know, it's essentially saying that, like, a lot of people in the world, especially those with power who, you know, run like systems, political, social, cultural, etc., they want to push everything into clear, discrete, like binary categories. This is white, this is black, this is one, this is two, or you know, this is zero, this is one. And there's no ambiguity, there's no in-between, there's no complexity to that. There's no gray, it's only white or black. And I think Greg, you know, I took this song to mean that actually humans aren't that easily categorized, whether you're talking, you know, phenotypically, ethnically, or otherwise. Humans are individuals, and even if they do fit into some demographic categories, that does not in of itself explain anything about them, and they might actually run counter to some of those stereotypes and so on. And that again is relevant no matter what dimension of analysis you're looking at. So the idea that there are powerful forces in society who would rather just have everybody, you know, just basically this is what I am or this is what I am, and let's put these pegs into their proper holes, and let's just, you know, organize society that's nice and efficient for us, the sort of masters of the universe, to sort of run things and not have to worry about, you know, individual creativity or expression somehow like mucking up the system. And Greg, I think over the course of the song, makes the point that they ultimately win in most cases. People get worn down, they sort of fall into line, they're willing to get into one of those pre-created holes that fit certain pegs, because it's just harder to, you know, express individuality and to sort of, you know, get setbacks and sort of like, you know, continue to maintain a sense of vibrant individuality and perhaps dissidence or dissonance, you know, to use a sonic term. So yeah, ultimately it's a song in which I took it to mean that humans are more complicated than large systems of control and ordering would like us to be, but over time we do end up kind of conforming to those like main trajectories that are laid out by, again, powerful forces. So I looked online a few years ago and I read something, an interview, like I said, that touches on this song. I was able to find it in advance of doing this video. So here we go. Greg Graffin was asked about this song, and he said, well, we set up the world in terms of black and white, and yet we're gifted with the ability to see shades of gray. But that ability sometimes hinders us. It hinders our progress, it hinders our success, but it makes us more human and more compassionate. But unfortunately, the world we set up for ourselves is not always based on compassion, and that, I think, is the ultimate human dilemma. And then this is not in quotes, but he said most of his problems he sings about can be distilled down to closed-mindedness and unwilling to see shades of gray. But again, it's the idea that, well, it's not always convenient when like people don't fit nicely into one category or another. It might create problems for like a bureaucratic system or whatever. It's like, yeah, but sometimes like if we're not willing to see that ambiguity, we're going to end up sort of ignoring, neglecting, or even harming someone's humanity, someone's like basic human spirit. So the idea that everybody just has to get into this system. Is it black? Is it white? Is it 1 or is it 0? Is it are you this type of worker or are you that type of worker? Like how much do you make or do you make less than that? Like putting everyone into these boxes ultimately leads to a more convenient system, but one that is far less compassionate and humane. And I agree with Greg that one of the saddest things about humankind is that it seems that despite that there are many people who are compassionate and help others and so on, it takes a lot of people working together to make things that are truly beneficial for a lot of people and that sort of can persevere and sort of give people hope and stability and so on. It doesn't take much. It usually only takes one person with a bad attitude or bad intentions to cause serious problems and harm. So it is one of the aspects of, I guess the natural universe, that it's really hard to do things admirably. It's pretty easy to do things terribly. So I think that is part of it. But yeah, as I said, this song, I always took it to mean that the world is more complicated than powerful forces would like it to be, and reading that interview felt like on some level validating. So I'll shut up now. Captain Elaborate will stop talking, and we will listen to Bad Religion and the song Gray Race. I think it's technically the Gray Race. By the way, this song was in Crazy Taxi, I believe. I'm gonna remember that moment as it was about to happen. Yeah, it's been a while since I played it, but I do, in fact, still have a functional Dreamcast from, like 25 years ago, or at least 20 years ago. And there was a game called Crazy Taxi, which had a pretty famous soundtrack. It was, Offspring and Bad Religion and other punk bands. I want to say it was more than just punk music. I want to say maybe there was like a hip-hop song or two. Maybe I'm confusing with Tony Hawk in that regard. But I'm pretty sure this song was on there. I know 10 in 2010 by Bad Religion was definitely on the Crazy Taxi soundtrack. So yeah, if I'm remembering that right, it's sort of making me nostalgic for memories of playing that game. Nevertheless, yeah, it's a cool song, and I didn't remember that sort of flourish, the sort of intensification right before the end of the tune until we got there, which, as I've done these reactions for different groups that I have known for a long time, whether it's punk rock or Depeche Mode or some of the other groups that I've known for longer, yeah, there's been a few moments like that where it's, I know the song, I'm comfortable talking about it, and then in the moment I say, oh yeah, like I forgot about that part, that's fantastic. So It really is an enjoyable experience doing these videos. So shout out to those of you who've made it, more than what it was when I started, and now there's information and sort of, insight and also comedy coming from different friends of the channel. So yeah, it's just become a really cool thing, and I got a coffee mug out of it. So shout out to Ryan once again. I do appreciate it. But yeah, let me know what you think of the tune. I will see you next time. Peace.